everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. I know a lot of you will be jumping in as we go. I see a few of you on here already. Super excited. Hello, hello. We have a lot of you from kind of all over. And I think a lot of you know me. I kept the group pretty small, the webinar pretty small. So I'm excited to see you all jumping on. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's get to what we want this webinar to be about. So let me open up my slides. There we go. Actually, let's keep me for a little bit here so I can talk to you. Okay, so just thank you again for attending tonight. I'm super excited to talk to you. A lot of you are from emails, web, blog, Instagram, all over the place, but all of you have come together to learn about a few things tonight with digestion. And that's really what I want to talk to you tonight. I'm super excited because tonight I want to talk about really things you can do when you eat to really help reduce digestive issues like fatigue and gas and bloating and all that good stuff that comes along with digestive issues. A lot of times we talk about, change what you eat, and that is so true. I'm still really a proponent of that. I really believe in real food and whole food as so fundamental to health. But also in that, we don't as much teach how we need to eat in order to really gain health. And that's an important part that I want to talk about tonight. So 5 things you do when you eat that you can really help relieve a lot of symptoms of digestive issues. And since it's the holidays coming up, I'm going to also add a couple ways that you can stay healthy and energized even during the holidays. Because that's what we want to do. We want to stay energized and feel youthful during this fun time of year. Brief introduction about myself just so you can get to know me a little bit better. My name is Amy Moffett. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I love helping people do what they love to do. I was at a point where nutrition or lack of nutrition made it so that I couldn't do what I love to do, and that is awful. It's miserable. When you're scared of going out in public, when you're scared of going backpacking because you're not sure what your insides are going to do, or if everyone is going to know what your insides are feeling like, if you know what I mean, I think most of us do, it can be so scary and it really affects your life. And I was at a really low point in my life at one point where symptoms absolutely controlled my life. I was trying to run track at BYU, and I was experiencing so many symptoms that were just absolutely influencing everything I did, especially my athletic career. Stomach pain, gas, bloating, exhaustion, and fatigue. Every time I ate, I could eat breakfast, and then I would have a snack an hour later and then be immediately bloated and couldn't eat the rest of the day. It was awful. But along with that, I had all these other symptoms: asthma and eczema and depression, anxiety, and all these other gross things like thinning hair and receding gums and bad breath and acne and things that nobody likes, and everyone thinks is normal. Everyone thinks these things like moodiness and craving sugar, it's just normal, right? And anemia, I had extreme anemia, which was not normal, which is actually what caused me to pursue health from a different perspective than what I was hearing doctors. Because doctors were just telling me to, take this medication and it'll make this symptom go away. Take this medication and it'll make this symptom go away. But no one was telling me what was actually happening or causing these symptoms to occur. I was frustrated at doctors just giving me more and more medication for the symptoms. I wanted to know what was going on. Why was I feeling so awful all the time? And this actually I saw the other day that I felt like I had really thought of before. I was kind of scared of this, where this actually came from someone else, and he shared this with me. This is someone he had talked to, and pretty much what their experience with the pharmaceutical companies was. He said, that's a typo, metformin for the diabetes caused by the hydrochlorothiazide that I take for high blood pressure, which I got from the Ambien that I take for insomnia, caused by the Xanax I take for anxiety that I got from the Wellbutrin I take for chronic fatigue, which I got from the Lipitor I take because I have high cholesterol. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. He started with high blood cholesterol, which is so diagnosed today, which is a whole issue and another topic for another webinar, and ends up with so many lists of prescriptions because that's what our culture does. We prescribe, we medicate, we medicate, we medicate. And for me, I didn't want to do that. I saw my symptoms not as the problem that needed to be masked. I saw my symptoms as signs of a bigger problem, and a bigger problem that something else was not working in the body. Something was not working as it should, right? The real problem was some kind of dysfunction in my body that was giving off all these signs. But that's not how our culture thinks. We think, oh, this symptom needs to be masked or go away, so I'm going to take a pill. But I didn't want to do that. And I think many of you here too understand the same thing. Just because you're here and on this webinar, is you understand that symptoms are signs of a bigger issue, a bigger problem. So actually, let's get to the things we want to talk about today. Is actually relieving some of those digestive symptoms that we often experience. And since we've been talking about it, digestive symptoms really are a sign of digestive dysfunction, right? The real problem is that something isn't working when we're trying to eat food. Like the basic process of digestion isn't working right. And the root of the problem is sometimes a little more complex than what I'll share with you tonight, but that doesn't mean that you can't start here. And that many of these 5 simple things to change what you do when you eat will actually are the problem. That what you're doing is making it so digestion isn't working very well. And can cause some of these symptoms. Like digestive symptoms you often see are acid reflux, fatigue, crankiness, bloating, gas, indigestion, food cravings, constipation, diarrhea. I mean, the list goes on. We all know them. We've all experienced them at some point. At one time or another. But these symptoms aren't the problem, right? The problem is digestive dysfunction that's causing signs and symptoms. That the body is not breaking down, it's not absorbing, it's not eliminating food or nutrients properly. And that's what we want to take care of. We want to actually, so we're going to reduce symptoms, but what we're actually doing is getting digestion to work right. So let's do it. Let's go over a few things. We'll come back to this as well, that health really starts with digestion. And when you think of it, like everything in your body, your movements, your heart beating, your thinking, everything relies on basic raw nutrients that come into the body. And they need to be broken down into little itty bitty tiny pieces. And then they're going to be used to build new things in the body and make reactions happen in the body. So that you can function and live with happiness and joy and do the things you love, which we all love to do. So let's go over a few of those things. What can we do? I know this first one seems so simple, but it's like the hugest thing because our culture just doesn't do this. Sit down to eat. Sit down to eat. It's so basic, but traditionally, like you see many cultures being very, very serious about the way, the position that they eat. And many cultures actually get as low to the ground as possible. Like in the United States, we often sit at tables, sit high off the ground. But in many cultures, the goal is often to sit low on the ground even. And what this does is it actually helps the body get in a relaxed or parasympathetic state. So this parasympathetic state is a state where we are ready to digest food. Our bodies are relaxed. They're ready to heal. They're ready to produce the chemicals and the saliva and the stomach acid that we need in order to digest food properly. When we're not in a parasympathetic state, when we are actually like in an anxious state or a fight or flight response, so we're stressed, the body actually can't produce that saliva and stomach acid very well. And what happens is when we eat then, there's no saliva, there's no stomach acid, the chemicals that are used to break down food aren't present. So what happens? Our bodies have this overload of indigested food that either sit in our stomach and kind of rot there, and then we get acid reflux, and then we get all these other symptoms of gas and bloating, and like, what the heck is going on? And the real reason is we just didn't have the chemicals to break down food. So we need to relax. We need to sit and breathe and do whatever you need to do. You can visualize, you can pretend you're like on a beautiful beach and you're eating a picnic, whatever is going to get you relaxed and ready to digest food. Because again, without chemical digesters, food is left partially digested. And then further down the digestive tract, you're going to get a lot of other symptoms. So that's the very first step. That's pretty simple. Let's go to the second one. The second one's pretty simple too, and you've heard this one a million times. Chew food well. But let me tell you why that's important. Stomach acid and enzymes do a lot of work breaking down food in smaller particles, but it's very important to break down food as much as you can beforehand into the stomach. It will help so much all along the digestive tract. But the other issue that happens is that when we chew food, it allows time that food is in the mouth with saliva. Saliva is actually where the breakdown of starches begins. Salivary amylase is what helps break down starches right away before it even enters our stomach. So chewing food well gives the chance for starches to break down. Undigested starches can be very, very irritable to the small intestines and to the large intestines, where we can get a lot of symptoms again. So a few tips for being able to do that are actually try putting your fork down in between bites. That was something that actually blew my mind. Putting down a fork forced me to be like, oh, I'm chewing. And at that point, you can start to actually really enjoy your food too. We really rush through. We inhale food way too much in the Western culture. We just eat way too fast. Enjoying our food will not only help us digest better, but you feel more satiated. You feel fuller. You feel satisfied with the food that you've eaten. So only swallow food when it's well chewed. That's our important rule number 2. Rule number 3, eat only until you are full. So, you hear this a lot for trying to lose weight or maintain good weight, but why would it also help digestive symptoms? The reason being is that when you overeat or when you eat too much food at one time, the stomach, the pancreas, the gallbladder, these organs of digestion can become very overwhelmed. And this causes it takes a lot of energy from the body for these metabolic functions to happen. And you end up being very fatigued and very tired. You're trying to break down food that's not really having an easy time breaking down. So a tip for that is to actually pay attention just to your feelings when you eat. Chewing slowly will help this anyways as you chew and as you actually pay attention to how long it takes you to eat. But notice just when you start to feel full and recognize that you don't have to overeat because you're going to eat again in a few hours. The French do this really well. They don't overeat because they recognize they have another beautiful and wonderfully prepared meal in a few hours. And that's totally okay. Recognize that you can eat again later, and it's better for your system to not eat a lot at once, as you'll better digest it in smaller portions. So that's especially important with fatigue after eating. Obviously, everyone knows Thanksgiving, you're just exhausted. Your digestive system's overwhelmed, but on a daily basis, that's important too. Okay, let's go to number 4. This is an interesting one because we see this all the time, the opposite of this. So drink most water in between meals. Now, why would that be the case? You see all the time, people go out to eat and they get a huge, however big those sodas are, I don't even know how big they are, soda with a meal, and they just drink the soda with the meal. Well, not only is soda itself and the chemicals in it terrible for digestion because it swaps you out of a parasympathetic relaxed state almost immediately, but also because water or liquids with meals will neutralize stomach acid, or at least take the acidity of the stomach up, or a little less acidic. And what we want is a very acidic environment for the stomach to digest. In order to actually absorb certain nutrients and actually activate pepsin, which digests proteins, we need a very acidic state in the stomach. And which is so weird in America, right? We're taking all these antacids and Pepto-Bismol. What these medications are doing is neutralizing the stomach and taking away a symptom of acid reflux, but what it's actually doing is causing more indigestion in the stomach. We're stopping acid from breaking down food. And so when you drink a lot of water with meals, this tends to do the same thing. It tends to make the stomach less acidic, which makes the food not be able to digest and break down, which means it's sitting in the stomach longer And that is what's going to create that rotting, that is like putrefying, the acid reflux that people experience so much with stomach acid issues. The issue is actually not too high of stomach acid. It's that the stomach is not acidic enough to digest and move food through. So it's fine to drink some water during meals just to make food palatable, to wash food down. That's totally fine. But most water should be in between meals. That's a big one. That's actually changed my life a little bit when I found that out. I had no idea I was doing so many things wrong. It's fine. We learn together. Okay, and number 5, have quality fat and protein in every meal. Now this one's funny too, right? Like, why would this create digestive distress on the body? And most Americans you see eat an abundance of processed carbohydrates in every meal. The PB&J for lunch with Cheetos and Oreos for dessert, and maybe a piece of fruit, right? So very high sugar, high carbohydrates, and very little fat or protein. When you have a lot of carbohydrates and sugar in a meal, what that does is that it's going to spike your blood sugar levels very, very quickly. These carbohydrates are going to turn into glucose and go straight to the bloodstream, and you're going to get a sugar high, right? But that also creates a sugar low. Your body rushes to address all the sugar that is in the bloodstream. It wants glucose in the bloodstream to be stable. It wants stable energy levels all around the body. And so your pancreas is overworking to try and get this glucose gone, and you end up crashing. You end up getting, imbalance of glucose in the blood. Having fat and protein in every meal is actually going to slow down the digestion of carbohydrates. It's going to regulate how much energy the body is able to digest at a time. So what you get instead of these, sugar highs and sugar lows is actually steady energy, which is really what we want, right? At least that's what I want. I don't know about you guys, but it's just a steady energy level, right? That's number 5. So as a general rule, if you're looking at your plate, you should see about 30% protein, 30% fat, and 40% carbs. I'll do that in another webinar as well, helping you identify what is 30% fat, protein, 40% carbohydrate ratio. But in general, just try to include some fat and protein in every meal. Okay, so those are our 5. I hope you're ready to try that out. They've made a huge difference in my digestion as well as a lot of people I've already worked with as a nutritional therapy practitioner. But since it's the holidays, let's go over a few things. This slide's a little crazy, but that's the holidays, right? The holidays are awesome, and we love them. But there's so many treats and wonderful foods that we love. We absolutely love. And it's fine to indulge. That's okay. But what we don't want to happen is to come away from eating a little bit of pie or eating a little bit of sugar cookie or whatever your favorite holiday treat is, to eat that and then to just crave sugar again and again and again and not be able to stop. That is actually signs of mineral deficiencies in the body as well. It can be a sign of chromium deficiency. It can also be a sign of, sneeze. It can be a sign of a lot of different deficiencies, but some of the vitamins and minerals that can really help with sugar cravings are B vitamins, vitamin C, zinc, and again, chromium. Chromium is especially helpful, and what's awesome is that some good food sources of chromium are liver and brewer's yeast. And how often do you see that in our diet? Liver, beef liver, calf liver, is some of the best source of chromium you can find, as well as a few other minerals and vitamins and proteins that are just so good for sugar cravings and overall health. If you can find a great source of quality liver, I highly recommend doing that. You can ground up liver and put it in burgers. That's how I sneak it into my diet, because I don't necessarily love liver and onions. I've tried. Maybe you need a better recipe, but sneaking some liver into a burger or sneaking a little bit here and there in like a meatloaf or something is a great way to get liver into your diet, especially around this holiday time. It'll really help with sugar cravings. I have a few other suggestions on this slide for different food sources for those vitamins and minerals. So Let's see, next slide. The second thing also is L-glutamine. So L-glutamine is an amino acid, and this is another nutrient that is very helpful with sugar cravings. And what's great, what I love about L-glutamine is that, yes, you can take it as a powdered form, but it's so easy to incorporate into your diet in the form of bone broth. Bone broth is hot right now. It's a hot topic, which I love because bone broth really is a nutrient-dense superfood. That's a traditional food. It's not anything new. It's been used as a healing food for centuries and centuries and centuries. Bone broth, as well as grass-fed beef, spirulina, and cabbage are all great sources. You can get it as a supplement. Of course, if you're looking for a whole foods diet and a cheap way to do it, bone broth is awesome. You make your turkey from Thanksgiving, throw the bones and the skin into a pot and simmer that for about 24 hours. With some vegetables and throw in some herbs at the end, you get a delicious, beautiful broth. And I'm a little obsessive, it's true, but it's so good for you and L-glutamine rich, which will help you with those sugar cravings. So, okay, those are about the 7 we went over, and kind of just want to go a little bit in summary of how we reduce digestive dysfunction, sit down and relax to eat, chew food well, eat only until you are full, drink water most of your water in between meals, and have quality fat and protein with every meal. So even if you don't feel like you can really incorporate them all or remember them all, pick 1 or 2 and make that a goal for this week. That's something that will definitely help reduce digestive symptoms, but remember the goal is to actually get the digestive system working. And I want to go back for a second and talk about how improving digestion really is a foundation for your overall health. It is absolutely essential to get raw nutrients in little bitty forms, right, that the body can actually use to function the rest of the body. What happens, unfortunately, is that years of poor diet and lack of nutrition and poor lifestyle choices affect not only the digestive system, but actually the whole rest of the body. So because we haven't been digesting food well or been eating a lot of carbs without fat or protein, we now have blood sugar dysregulation. So energy levels aren't stable and aren't balanced. We have adrenal dysfunction and we can't fall asleep at night. We can't get up in the morning. We have hormonal dysfunction and girls aren't having their periods. And we have mental health issues and so much anxiety. All these big issues coming from a lack of nutrients and digestion. So yes, absolutely, these basic 5 simple rules can definitely help your digestion. But unfortunately, sometimes it takes a little bit more to address other underlying problems that are causing other symptoms like asthma and allergies, sinus congestion, hay fever, poor sleep, like I say, can't fall asleep at night, can't wake up in the morning, heart palpitations, raised heart rate, eczema, rashes, acne, headaches, migraines. All these other symptoms can be addressed through both proper digestion and proper nutrition and healing foods. And that's where I actually also wanted to let you guys know about what I do as a nutritional therapy practitioner and a new and super exciting class that I'm actually starting come January. It's a 5-week program that's online or in person. So if you're here in Provo, Utah, you can work with me in person. Or if you're not, we have online classes as well. It's called the Restart Program. And this program is an incredible program that's just 5 weeks long, and it's meant to be a group support system. So you do it in a small group setting, so you can have an intimate instruction with the instructor, but also have a support group. Friends that will help you, give you ideas, will encourage you to stick to your gut and stick to your plan, and abide by a step-by-step program to actually restart your body on your health journey and actually get you feeling good, help you get rid of so many of these other symptoms we just talked about by addressing digestion and getting nutrients in the body. You will be amazed what 5 weeks can do when you're actually eating right. And I actually have not created the Restart Program. The Restart Program is taught all over the world by NTPs, nutritional therapy practitioners, everywhere. And you'd be amazed at the results that people find that actually just learning and educating themselves on how to find deeper healing through nutrition, how powerful it really is. What the program includes is, again, 5 weeks of small group instruction, But what you learn is, first of all, like what it feels like and what the symptoms are that are being toxic, that things in your body should not be there, and especially how sugar has taken over our bodies, and part of this program includes a sugar detox, so it's really helpful for after the holidays, really indulging a little bit too much and haven't gotten rid of those sugar cravings. So it has a built-in sugar detox, as well as getting digestion working, getting energy levels balanced, kicking those sugar cravings, and learning what fats are good and bad, how to reintroduce foods if you're having sensitivities to foods, and how to educate yourself for life to continue to have health. And here's the thing, it's not just education, you actually get lifetime access to the materials that come with the class. So you can download these materials and keep them forever to help you remember and learn and teach other people what it takes to feel good. And this list, the food journal, with specific symptoms to look for, a list of what to eat and not to eat if you're trying to feel good and healthy. That's confusing. I mean, you see the food industry now, eat this, eat this, eat this. Well, so much misled marketing, and so many of us just are so confused about what's good to eat and what's not good to eat. So I'll help you out there. A list of what really is good to eat. Sample meals for getting rid of the sugar cravings, getting rid of digestive issues, and getting the right fats into your diet, as well as sugars. Like, what are hidden names for sugar? Because you'll be amazed at what food industries will do to get sugar into their food and not let you know. It tastes good and it doesn't have sugar, but yes, it does. And then again, just teaching you about healthy fats. And again, like, you'd be amazed what this program can do in 5 weeks. Julia F. from Oregon actually said this: I feel 10 years younger with lasting energy and stamina to perform my best at work each day. 10 years younger in 5 weeks. The program is only 3 weeks, so that's the sugar detox. And the actual protocol is 3 weeks, and then you have 2 extra weeks of education. But I've been able to prepare my body and my mind for a lifelong change for the better. And let's look at L. I don't know how to say that, actually. Sorry, whoever you are. But she's from the Washington Restart program, and she said that I started the Restart program heavily addicted to sugar and binge eating. I finished not the least bit interested in junk food because I was so satisfied with my real food. I was amazed at myself. I was amazed at how I could walk away from sugar and into health. Awesome, awesome, right? And what's cool is that I know a lot of you are looking at this. You're here at this webinar. You've followed me already, and I actually am able to offer you, for being here on the webinar, something really cool. As a normal consultation with a nutritional therapy practitioner, or, well, this is different for every practitioner, but my rates are $80 an hour. So 5 times, just 5 times, which are about an hour each, is already $400. So you come see me 5 times and you pay $400.